dost thou recall the days of thine youth. Men may look back upon those days with a fondness, a longing, wishing for simpler times. Times when they had not to worry but for when their mothers would prepare their next meal, where their loyal hound hath run off to, or where their best spots to catch frogs in the river were. The peasants have their simple childhoods, but those of us of finer breeding, we had responsibility thrust upon us from an early age. As a prince from a land long since lost to mortal history, I did not wade barefoot through crystal clear waters, nor did I frolic with friends in the golden fields. I took to mine responsibilities with grace and strength, as those of my blood always had. Every waking hour was devoted to study and practice. 'Twas not for the peasant masses. They were just another responsibility, a chore on a long list of chores. No, mine heart yearned for only one thing, the respect of mine father, King Barov, and adoration of mine mother, Queen Reynovia. With these precious treasures so coveted didst I take to my duties as prince. For them I would deliver the world. No less than this would it take, and who else would be up to such a task? Certainly not my younger brother, Sergei. Precious favored child he was. He studied as I once had, but draped in the soft, loving glow of our mother, and I knew it would make him weak. So whilst he grew soft, I grew strong. I had become a great leader, a conqueror of lands and a commander of mighty armies. No force could stand against me. I tasted no defeat for decades, and all who stood to oppose me were crushed with extreme prejudice. Yet, when the waves of years and the weight of my responsibilities began to slowly grind away at the stones of my youth, did I come to regret it. Not the death or the destruction. I regretted how I spent my youth. I regretted that I did not do more than merely turn myself into a weapon of conquest. I regret I did not do more, live life more. Perhaps that is when the dark took root in mine heart. 'Twas on the anniversary of my father's death did I subjugate a prosperous mountain valley. I declared it my home. I christened this land Barovia in the name of my father, and this castle Ravenloft in honor of mine mother. No better gifts than this could I think of for mine family, long unseated from their ancestral thrones. And so I called unto my family to join me in our new home. My mother was cold to me after this. Gratitude she rarely showed, and 'twas only ever the polite gratitude of a noble woman, masking her true heart. 'Twas not long after this reunion did I set mine eyes upon a young Barovian woman, the fair Tatiana. Only 16 summers, but beauteous as the summer sunrise, and as tempting as the first berries of spring. I could tell at a glance that it was her rightful place to be here, at my side. Day by day did I let my love shine through, showering her with gifts and treasures. I raised her from a peasant girl to a noble lady. Though she never cared for the gifts I showered her in too much, she gratefully accepted them nonetheless. Her truest passion was to wander the halls of mine castle. She seemed so bright when she did so. A light I wished I could cling to for all time. Though she always preferred to explore alone, I did not care. I felt alive again. Fair Tatiana had sparked in me the fire of youth. I could feel them burning fresh vitality into the very tips of my limbs. My love for her had reignited the spark I once thought lost. One night, bathed in the full moon's silver glow, I read in my study, while fairest Tatiana went about her nightly walks through the castle. I could not bear to be away from her anymore, so I followed her melodious laughter and saw a sight like daggers of ice in mine heart. My beloved, my sweet, my precious treasure, Tatiana, in the arms of my brother, Sergei. 'Twas then that the full painting came into view. Why had she agreed to mine summons with such haste? Why did she only ever attend supper at the castle when Sergei was there? Why was she always so insistent on leaving my side to go gallivanting over the castle alone? 'Twas Sergei who had her heart in his grasp. When they did come to me, they brought news of their tryst. They thanked me for all I did for them, and would ask one more favor, that I would be the best man at their wedding night. Once I had heard these words, the spark died out completely. I realized then that the dark had never taken root in mine heart. It was always there. Tatiana continued to live in the castle, planning her wedding night with Sergei, though she always avoided my gaze which was ever upon her, for witnessing her was all I craved. When she was not there, my mind could only focus on her, in the arms of Sergei. From favored son to favored lover, once again he had stolen mine treasure. Was I lost? An old man with all thoughts of love and glory behind him for good, eternally damned to waste away in the shadow of righteous brother and apathetic mother? No, I refuse to accept it. Tatiana ran into the arms of Sergei for his youth and beauty. 'Tis the only thing he has which I do not. Sergei did not lead armies to glory. He did not conquer the land of Barovia in the name of our family. He suckled on the love and adoration of our mother like a greedy piglet, leaving me naught but cold responsibility and isolation for companions. And again doth he steal that which by rights should be mine. But Tatiana, beautiful and foolish, cannot see beyond mine aging face. Would she but see that I am the greater sibling, look beyond thine aging face. Indeed, would we be the same age, the benefits of youth and beauty would do naught for Sergei. So I shall rid myself of my age. I had accumulated much knowledge in mine conquests. I scoured through them day and night. I spent the coffers of Barovia seeking counsel from wizards, clerics, soothsayers, peasant healers, and strange archaic items of magic power. The peasants wept their pathetic cries of starvation, but mine aching heart yearned for something greater than the mewling masses. Barovia shall suffer as I have suffered, until I find a means to end it for us both. But nothing worked. Mortality, it seemed, was indomitable. Until a frail old woman came to me. Baba Lysaga was her name, a witch of the woods. I had heard of her, though I gave little stock in witchcraft at this point. Still, she presented me with a book, within holding the secrets I desired. The pages spoke of a ritual. It would grant me not just youth and power, but immortality. All I needed was to make a pact with dark powers, a pact with death, a pact of blood. I began the ritual on the eve that Tatiana and Sergei were to be wed. As the celebration began to die down, I called for my brother, and he followed, naive fool that he is.
Brother, I'm glad to see you. I know we've had our differences, especially over Tatiana. But I'm happy to have my kin at my wedding, nonetheless. Why drag us here to such a gloomy corner of the castle? let us go back to the party. I cannot keep my bride waiting for her first dance.
I drove a dagger through his heart, and as he lay on the ground, sputtering and bleeding, eyes a storm of confusion, anger, and fear, I spoke the words. A pact with death. With strong hands did I raise his head from the earth and slashed his throat, his blood pouring out like the fountains in the gardens. A pact of blood. I drank deep of the crimson lifeblood that flowed from Sergei's neck. It ended with a scream. It was Tatiana. I tossed Sergei's body away. I implored her to see the truth. Sergei was not worthy of her, but if she took mine hand, I could grant her power, wealth, and even immortality now. We would be together for eternity. She fled, but I would be denied that which was mine no longer. I chased her through the gardens, into the castle, through the dining hall and ballroom, up the stairs to the highest tower of Ravenloft, and there we had our confrontation. You have a choice before you now, Tatiana. Belong to me, or belong to death. She made her choice, and hurled herself from the tower balcony. No, 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 she was meant to be mine! Mine forever! The hag promised, the pact promised! What more could I have done? Mine rage was cut down by arrows that planted themselves into my back. Traitors! The fool peasants of Barovia sought to overthrow me this night. I will not have it. I will not be brought down by a mob of peasants. And without Tatiana, there is no point. So I hurled mine own bleeding body off the balcony. As I fell, I saw Barovia become cloaked in a cold mist. I awakened once again, unharmed but cold as the grave. Mine heart had truly stopped beating, though I gave little notice. As I walked through the halls of mine castle, I'd noticed that the mirrors refused to show my reflection to me, and I could feel a hunger gnawing at me. Where once I craved fine wines, sweet meats, and exotic fruits, now I craved the warm blood of the living. The deal with death was sealed, it seemed, though time and time again peasants and so-called heroes would attempt to usurp me from my ancestral throne, some even managing to strike down my body. I was never to die. In time I learned that there was more to this pact than just my inability to die. The souls of my people, the Barovians, would forever remain in this land in one form or another. And that meant Tatiana. Your face may change from one generation to the next, but I know your soul. I swear this to you. You will be mine. May it take 1,000 years, but you will be mine. As surely as the mist settles over Barovia. That is my eternal promise. That is my eternal curse. So saith I, the lord of this land, the first vampire, Count Strahd von Zerovich.
Happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this special episode of Through the Eyes of a Monster. If you haven't played Curse of Strahd yet, and you play D&D, you probably have already played it, but you should if you haven't. It's really good. It's like a staple of the game. It's my favorite module. D&D YouTube guy says Curse of Strahd is good. Hot takes only on this channel. A super special thank you to all of my patrons up there on screen. If you want to see my videos early without any annoying ads, consider joining them in the Patreon. And finally, an extra special shout out to Damon Alums. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, for voicing Sergei von Zerovich in this video. Link to his website below. He did phenomenal work. He was a joy to work with. Definitely check him out. Links to everything below. Check out everything below, down there. And of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff to feed the hungry vampire that is the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers!